The Blast from Our Past Network.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom, and enjoy this bonus episode of Podcasting After Dark.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a bonus episode of Podcasting After Dark. I am one half of the proper team, I guess, Corey, aka Sleazy C, and I'm joined with me, as always, is my pal Luna. And we're still on our Kevin Smith hiatus, although we are planning on reviewing Chasing Amy soon. But Luna bought a new mic, so we wanted to do a little mic test, and she watched Evil Dead 2 for the first time. So I figured, what a better mic test than to get Luna's thoughts on Evil Dead 2. First time seeing it in 2025. Luna, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for bringing me back on. I'm excited to do a little brief Evil Dead 2 episode with you. It's been a couple months since I've been on. I think the last thing we did was Heavy Metal. That was our little break from the Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith. What'd you call him when we were talking John Smith?
I think I said Steven Smith.
Steven Smith. Yeah, no, we it's always crazy around this time of year. We always obviously it's always Halloween stuff and everything like that. But getting back into Kevin Smith in November, I think seems right. We're gonna cover Chasing Amy, but I do want to get to Dogma very quickly because Dogma's finally coming out on home video and Blu-ray, where it's
on home video.
Yeah, on home video. Because it's taken so long because there's all these rights issues. The Harvey Weinstein was basically holding Dogma hostage from Kevin Smith for a while. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Luna was looking for some horror movies to watch, and you had seen the Evil Dead remake.
Oh my gosh.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were unimpressed with that, right?
Yeah, well, in my proper fashion, I watched a remake as opposed to the original, and I think we talked a little bit about this in my last episode, but like I'm notorious for Corey gives me these great films, and I royally screw it up by watching the remake as opposed to the original, and then I gotta go back and I gotta watch the original, and it's always better than these remakes. So I did watch the Evil Dead remake, and then I watched Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 blew it out of the water compared to the remake. I think the remake, it tried too hard to be like a proper horror film, whereas Evil Dead 2 definitely has some character to it that makes it like, it's kind of a horror theme, but there's kind of some comedic moments where I think the main character Ash, his like girlfriend, after she gets her head chopped off, like comes back as this like kind of like claymation almost little dancing zombie. Yep. And it's kind of just like it's really weird, but at the same time, it kind of made me giggle a little bit because she's like just like kind of playing with her head like it was a basketball, like throwing it around, and he's just like stuck in this little cabin in the woods, like screaming. But I enjoyed it. I was able to, when I watch movies where I find that I'm not digging it so much, I have a hard time paying attention. Like, I find myself like checking my phone.
Yeah.
And I didn't do this with Evil Dead 2. It was engaging. It was a fun watch. And it does have the Evil Dead remake, does tie into like had this little book. Was it the
Necronomicon?
Necronomicon. So they do have that.
That was kind of the tie-in, and then the Deadites, as these demon sort of zombies are referred to. There's also another one called Evil Dead Rise that was actually a lot of fun. I really liked it, but the hardcore fans, and I think you probably see this even with watching Evil Dead 2. The franchise is really centered around Bruce Campbell, aka Ash, and having him not in it is a very, very tough sell.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, if you're used to like the same character playing like a similar role and they just kind of kick him out, like, you know, it's kind of like I was talking to a coworker today about The Crow, and they made some sequels to The Crow, and but then they just did a new Crow last year, and they said it wasn't a remake, but they use all the same characters' names, so it's like, isn't it actually a remake, even though?
Well, I mean, I think you get away with it because the original Crow was based on a comic book. So I think
Sure.
they're still basing it on a comic book. So it's not technically a remake of the movie. It's just another adaptation of the comic. But I told you, like, all the Crow sequels are absolute garbage. And I didn't even bother watching that remake, quote unquote.
Well, like I think at like a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, so
Yeah.
like definitely not on the list. But no, Evil Dead 2, I loved Bruce Campbell's character. I think he did a really good job kind of playing this, it starts off like kind of romantic, like him and I think what's her name, Annie,
Hmm.
played by Sarah Berry. They're like kind of driving out into the woods to stay at this cabin. It's not their cabin. They're kind of like breaking and entering, if I remember correctly. And then, when he plays the tape of who's on the tape? It's like the professor who
The professor. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
it has him speaking like the words in the book, and that is what seems to summon these deadites. Because they kind of come like flying through the woods and bust
Yeah.
through the cabin.
Yeah. How do you
But they
like
don't
that?
rest the I
How do you
love
like
that.
that camera move,
I love that camera move. And they played with that a couple different times whenever the Deadites were like kind of coming through the woods, even when they were like pulling Annie and Ash's characters into the woods. Like you never actually see them. It's just like a first person perspective. Which I kind of like because I think, sometimes when you're making a horror movie and you have like undead or zombie characters, it can be, I think, challenging to like make it convincing because it's so many people have their own adaptation of what a zombie looks like or a demon. So not really seeing them um kind of lets you play with your imagination, I think, a little bit, and also adds to the, I don't know, not the suspense of the movie, but just the overall like feel like you don't really know what they are, but they're there. They're
Yeah.
they're present. Because really I think the only actual zombies you see are when they like inhabit or they possess an individual. So you're just seeing that individual, or like you're seeing Ash's hand like crawl around, which kind of reminded me of like the Addams family.
What did you think about the whole him cutting his hand off?
Oh, that was brutal. I mean, I think he had to do it because it was kind of like working its way up his arm
Yeah.
and it's trying to kill him. So I was waiting. I was waiting for him to like, he had the chainsaw, he had a knife. I was waiting for him to just like kind of start hacking himself off. And he handles it pretty well too, because like he kind of just rolls with it and he ends up strapping a chainsaw onto his little stump arm
Oh yeah.
to fight the other Deadites. And it's pretty rad.
I
Um
mean, I mean, moving forward, you're gonna have another movie, Army of Darkness. Because at this, you saw it at the end of Evil Dead 2. He goes back in time. So
oh, that's right.
the next movie is like a medieval horror
Holy
movie. Now, I will
shit.
say it's probably 70% comedy
Sure.
and 30% horror. And then just recently, like within I think the last 5 or 6 years, they made a TV show sequel called Ash versus Evil Dead, 3 seasons, I believe, and this is all a part of canon. I mean, his hand is still cut off, like moving
Beautiful.
forward, and when we talked before you watch this, I kind of told you like you don't really. I mean, one day I would love for you to watch the very first one. Like they kind of go more horror in the first one. It's like I'd say like 25-30% comedy, mostly horror. The Evil Dead 2 is like 50-50. Then Army of Darkness goes like 75% comedy. But Evil Dead 2 is sort of a remake of Evil Dead 1. The beats are all similar, the setup is the same. So I was like, I just wanted you to get to right to the good stuff essentially with Evil Dead 2, but I really want you to watch Army of Darkness because it's like it's so different. The Army of Darkness is so different than Evil Dead 1 and 2 are.
Okay, okay. Well, I have it on my list. I actually have it on my Plex right now. So maybe I'll watch that tonight. But no, yeah, you're right. He does get like sucked, into the when what's the girl's name who repeats the spell to like take back It's not Annie. It's
No, it's his
no, it's Linda. She is the one who repeats the she has the pages of the
right.
Necronomicon, and she repeats the spell to take back the Deadites, and that's when Ash gets sucked back. And it's kind of funny because when he was looking through the book, you actually see a
Yeah.
picture of him with the chainsaw arm surrounded by like these knights, and then when he blows like the fucking thing out of the sky with the sawed-off shotgun, all the knights are like hail, hail, and he's like, oh fuck me.
Yeah, it's a wild ending, and the fact that they actually like just completely went with it in the next movie, I think you'll have a good, I think you'll have a good time with it. It's not as splattery gory
Sure.
as this one is. Like, what did you think of the gore? It's almost like comical levels of gore.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so much blood. Like when I'm watching some of these scenes where there's like blood oozing out of the floors and the walls, I'm like, that's more blood than any person would have in their body. Like it's like a
Right.
fucking tidal wave.
And so, but now, again, going back to the remake, the girl cutting off her arm, I think was supposed to be a bit of an homage, as well to Ash cutting off his hand. But like they tried to go normal, like not, I guess not normal, but realistic level of gore and everything. It becomes just a zombie movie. Like, why
Hmm.
even put the Evil Dead name even on it? Because I think like at this point, and I do think you'll see it in Army of Darkness. And if you ever watch the TV show, Myra and I watched the TV show. We freaking love it. We bought the Blu-rays. It's so much fun. But like you need it for it to be Evil Dead, it just has to be over the top at all points in time.
Oh yeah, the Evil Dead remake was not over the top. Like you said, it's kind of just like another zombie movie. And I think that's another reason why I didn't really, I mean, I finished the film, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Because Evil Dead 2 does have that comedic level of like gore and almost like comedy violence, where the Evil Dead remake is it just it just felt stale. Like it felt like the same story repeated over again. And like you said, the only thing tying these two movies together is the Necronomicon and a little bit of that camera action where people getting like sucked through the woods. Um, but I think the funniest thing in the Evil Dead remake was because there's a sibling and the girl is going through a withdrawal, so her friends have like taken her out in this cabin to like detox. And once she gets possessed, she's like climbing up from the cellar. So there is a couple things, the person in the
Yeah.
cellar who's a family member, but she looks straight at her brother and she's like, "I want to suck your cock, lover boy." And I was like, "Oh fuck no, that was so gross." Like I can't imagine a sibling saying that. Oh, like just made me cringe. I mean, she's possessed, but it's still like I just no, not there.
Yeah, and then yeah, because that even that like I get it, like, oh, it's gonna be shocking, but it lacks that tongue in cheek that Evil
Hmm.
Dead 2 has. Now, let me ask you, Evil Dead 2, is director Sam Raimi, directed, the original Spider-Man movies with Toby, what's his name? Toby
McGuire?
Maguire,
Yeah.
and everything. Did you know that he was the director of this?
No, no, I didn't even look at the director of this movie, so
Did you
that's
ever see
interesting.
those original
Yeah,
Spider-Man
no,
movies?
those are the ones I saw when I was a kid was with Tobey Maguire. And I never really saw like the newer ones they've made the last like 10,
Yeah.
15 years because they've made so many Spider-Man and Batman. It's been crazy. But
But
no,
he
those
got his start with low budget splatter horror films.
I mean, that's funny because I don't it's been so long since I've seen those Spider-Man movies, but it didn't remind me of them. Like there wasn't like some like nostalgia that like, oh, like this is kind of like Spider-Man. So it's kind of funny that he kind of went in a different direction because this like over the top horror comedy is very different than like a superhero. I mean, I guess you could say that Ash is a superhero in a way, but
He becomes definitely more superhero-ish in Army of Darkness and then
okay.
moving forward. And there's some interesting camera angles and stuff. Like if you rewatch Spider-Man after rewatching these, you'll see some interesting, like there's some telltale Sam Raimi camera work and stuff that he likes to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
But it is it's awesome to see, him go from horror to like mainstream and everything. He also did Darkman in between, which was like this superhero movie, which kind of really landed him the Spider-Man gig. But like what about what'd you think about the designs of the Deadites? Like the one in the basement, that kind of the fat mom, that comes upstairs and everything, their head like, neck elongates later. And then even when the boyfriend of Linda changes, he looks just doesn't look like just he doesn't look just like a zombie. Like they make them they're kind of demons, you know?
Yeah, they're not just like an undead person with like flesh falling off their face. They're very exaggerated. I mean, like the what was it? Henrietta, I think, was the
Yeah,
mom
yeah, Henry
who
yeah, Henrietta is actually played by Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's brother. But yeah, Henrietta is the mom in the basement.
and it's kind of cool because they do have like moments of clarity, which I interpreted as the demons trying to like convince the living to like,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh,
Yeah.
let us into your house, let us in,
Right. Like
open the
I think
door.
their souls are gone
Yeah, oh yeah, their
completely at
souls are
that point.
definitely gone.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
kind of play off of like, oh, don't you remember when you were a little girl and I
Yeah.
would do that? Yeah, so it's kind of creepy because I think when I see a horror movie, those are the creepiest things is when they play on your psychology. Like a screaming, or kind of limping zombie is creepy, but when they're playing on your psychology, that's what really kind of fucks with my head. Which as we've talked about, I really love like a psychological thriller. But no, the Deadites when they turn into a from their human form into like a proper like demon, it just plays into the over dramatic blood gore, coming out like a tidal wave. Like they just look kind of funny. But I think it fits the movie really well because it's supposed to be over the top. I think that's what makes it enjoyable is it's not trying to be realistic. It's not trying to play into like your conventional idea of what like a zombie or a demon would look like with, horns and red skin that we see in a lot of films or in pop culture. It has its own twist. And I think that's what makes it kind of creepy is because they kind of look disgusting,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's not pleasant to look at. It's not soft on the eyes at all. And yet he still with his little, chainsaw stump arm just slashes her neck. Um,
It sends her
so
head
sends
flying.
her head
Yeah.
flying. So it's great. I really appreciated that they didn't hold back in kind of just having fun with the movie. And I think when the cast and the director can have fun, I think the audience can see that too. And I
Yeah.
certainly noticed it.
Yeah, yeah, and finally, I gotta ask you because like Bruce Campbell is my wife's hall pass. Like she
Okay,
loves him
okay.
so much, and he actually lives up here in Bend, Oregon. Like,
Watch
what did
out.
you think of Bruce Campbell, like in general? And I'm not just saying looks, but like like his vibe and everything. What did you think? Like, like I said, moving forward with the proper franchise, he is the central focal point of it. So, how do you think he did?
I think he did great. I mean, one, he's nice to look at, especially when was this movie in 80
87.
87? So, I mean, what was he probably like in his like late 20s when this was
Yeah,
filmed?
yeah.
He's a very handsome guy, but he also is I think he played the role really well. Um, the acting, despite the movie being kind of over dramatic, I'm even thinking about like when like the deer head on the wall like kind of become possessed
Yeah.
and eyeballs are popping out. But I think the character and the actor Bruce Campbell, he keeps it he's taking a very serious approach to what's happening around him. He's trying to keep himself from getting fully possessed. He cuts off his hand so it doesn't kind of encroach on the rest of his body. Um, but his whole role, he really takes on, like they said, like this almost like the chosen superhero. Like he didn't really have a choice.
Right.
And I think the actor really plays into that role pretty well. Um, it didn't seem over dramatic what he was doing. It seemed like it made sense, despite the things around him that were happening were really bizarre. Um,
Yeah.
and he's scared too, and you can tell he's scared. Like he's freaked out, he's bloody, he's got a stump. Um, you have this because he went there with his girlfriend, and you have this other couple that comes with the redneck group to like, I think it's like their parents' like cabin or something. So he actually blasts one of them through the door when they
Yeah.
knock on the door. I think did he hit Bobby Joe, I think, in the shoulder?
I think so. Yeah.
So then they
Yeah.
lock him in the basement with Henrietta, and he's like, "You got to let me out of here." So I think Bruce Campbell, great job, as the main protagonist. I think it worked really well with the style of this film. Um, because it's not quite a slasher, but there is a lot of slashing that goes on.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm so happy that you like this one, and I'm sorry that you saw the remake first. But maybe sometimes it makes the originals seem all that much better. I do, like I said, I do hope you check out Army of Darkness. I mean, growing up, like in the Army of Darkness, I think like 92, 93, something like that.
Okay.
I watched Army of Darkness probably more. I've seen it probably more in my life than I have Evil Dead 2. Not like by like a ton, but I've definitely seen it more. I very much enjoy Army of Darkness. It holds a special place in my heart, but mainly because it came out at a certain time and everything, you know. And yeah, let me know if you do end up watching it. We can always discuss that one as well.
I think I will watch it because when I saw him go back in time, just for like a brief moment, it kind of reminded me of like Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh yeah.
Like I know like there was no guy with a chainsaw, but they do have like the holy hand grenade and kind of like this over the top, like when the guy gets his arms cut off in Monty Python, the blood just goes everywhere. It's just over dramatic. So when I saw like those knights standing back in time with Ash, it kind of like I was like, those films came out, not too far apart. So I'm I'm gonna watch it. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really glad that I got to watch Evil Dead 2, because I actually have it on Blu-ray, and when I put the Blu-ray in my player, it played about 15 minutes, and then it just blanked out. So I ended up
Oh.
having to go to the Plex. So I was committed. Once I've watched the first 10 minutes, I was like, I gotta finish this. I think it was right at the scene where the camera's like flying through the forest. Actually, he's getting dragged through the forest. That's where it cut out, and I was like, fuck, this is like the worst part to like cut out. But I committed to it. I've figured out how to watch it on the Plex, and if you haven't seen it, give it a watch.
Yeah, well, there you go, guys and gals. Luna, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up to Evil Dead 2, I guess.
2 thumbs up, absolutely. And
Well,
just go ahead
thumb
and
and a chainsaw.
give it a thumb and a chainsaw, and do yourself a favor and don't watch the Evil Dead remake unless you want to be reminded of what you're missing.
Yeah.
When-
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that is
'cause
true. That is true. Well, Luna, thanks so much for taking the time out to do this. And guys and gals, we do plan on getting back on the Kevin Smith train. So we're gonna check out Chasing Amy next. Like I said, but I really want to get to Dogma, and I'm very excited to rewatch that. So Luna, we will then reconvene with Chasing Amy. But until then,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.